skills, breaking bricks on their body. Qigong is what really first started that trend. The first monk that came to Shaolin and really made a difference in that community, he started his own sect of Buddhism known as Zen, developed these movements and exercises to help invigorate the body because he found monks sitting all day long meditating, found themselves weak, sore, and sometimes just falling asleep. I sort of liken it to our lives now. We sit at our desks for 5-6 hours a day. We get up, we hurt. We're not able to move. Our range of motion is limited. And suddenly we're back exactly where things were 1600 years ago, where we need some sort of outlet or some sort of activity to help us recapture, reinvigorate what our bodies are able to do. And that's what Qi Gong really is. The words Qi and Gong, Qi translates from Chinese to breath or air or energy. Sometimes you hear people talking about, oh, your Qi flow inside of you. And that's talking about an internal energy that keeps everything going and sort of keeps the light on. Gong is skill. So we're really talking about the skill of moving our breath, controlling our air in our body such that it helps regulate the naturally occurring processes and helps maximize our own body's way to heal. Qigong is practiced all over the world as a means of meditation, self-healing, and exercise, especially in Asian communities. If you've ever seen a group of old Asian persons doing slow motions in the park, they might be doing Tai Chi, but they also might be doing Qigong. It's very low impact. It's excellent for bones, joints, but also for your internal organs. And so that's why one of the reasons I love it so much. But in COVID times, I found and really leaned into my Qigong practice because the mental capacity, the meditative practice is so valuable to us now in this time when we're being bombarded by 1,000 different challenges and 1,000 different requirements. Being able to center yourself, being able to bring yourself down peacefully, and most importantly, be able to relax is so important. And so that's what we're going to be working on today. So I will get up from my seat, and you, if you're sitting down, might want to as well. Now, the great thing about Qigong is we're going to be standing here for a while. Our workout today, our class today is going to be about 45 minutes. Typically, I like a Qigong exercise that is about 30-minute workout, and we're going to be talking a bunch, so that's why it's going to go to 45. When I say workout, don't panic. It's not an exercise. We're not jumping jacks. Sorry, it's not exercise in a traditional sense, jumping jacks and push-ups. We are going to be moving. So make sure when you're standing at your place, you need about enough space to do this. If you're pinging off any plants or walls, you might want to move a little bit away from there. We might do a half step left or right, but for the most part, it's going to be fairly stationary. Now, if you have trouble standing or your legs are going to get tired, and I promise you they will get a little tired because we're going to be standing in a bent knee position, you feel like you need a little break, shake it out, no problem. If you want to pull your chair up and have a seat and you can still follow along while seated, that's absolutely no problem. Qigong is very accessible. It's one of the great reasons it's practiced so often throughout the world. So as we go through today, I'm going to start by teaching us sort of 4 basic elements of how we do our practice, our Qigong. I'm going to teach you how to stand. I'm going to teach you how to breathe. I'm going to teach you how to move. And in that process, we're going to remember how to relax. And that's going to be a big theme today, relaxing, because for your Qi energy to flow, it is said, you cannot flow through tense muscles. And it makes sense. If you're a scientific person, you know that Ohm's grip down on electrical current controls how much there. If you're a gardener, you know if you squeeze a garden hose close, water can't flow. If you're a Western science person, you know that blood cannot circulate where muscles are too tense. So we're going to work on the circulation of everything today, remembering how to relax. Okay, so very first thing we're going to do is we're going to start feet, hands together, and we're going to learn how to open. And if at any point somebody has questions, you can either use your hand gesture on Zoom, or if I don't notice it because my computer is a little bit away from me, feel free to shake your arms wildly or just speak out at any time. Okay, but for now, fear not. Let's going to be just fine. Hands and feet together. When we start, we're just going to bend our knees just ever so slightly. Rock your body weight to your right foot so you can put your left foot out to about shoulder distance apart and return your body weight to center. This is our general standing position. Seems easy, but let's go through our checkpoints. First thing I want you to do is bring your attention, so not necessarily looking, but feeling, thinking, bringing your attention down to your feet. Now you can be wearing shoes, you can be barefoot. Either works great in Qigong. I'm wearing shoes today because it helps pick up a little bit better on camera. My feet are in frame, right? Yes, okay. Before I talk about them, I better make sure you can see them. And as we're thinking about our feet, I want you to think about the weight of your foot. Feel your heels. Shift your weight forward a little bit. Feel the balls of your feet. Feel your toes. Feel your toes touching the ground. Big toe, medium toes, maybe even little toe. I know my little toe on my right side, I broke it so many times it doesn't touch the ground anymore. So I can feel that in my shoe. I'm bringing my attention to my feet like you've never done before. Your feet always feel like this. You just don't notice. From there, let's bring our focus into our knees. And we want to make sure our knees are never locked out. It's too tight. It's too strong. We want to always bend our knees a little bit to a relaxed form. At least unlocking them, keeping water in them. But a little bit of a bend too is a great workout. Especially if we stay like this for 20 or 30 minutes, I promise you tomorrow will feel like it was leg day, which is good. Strengthening. Now we want to make sure as we bend our knees, we don't lean forward. You don't want to feel suddenly all the weight on your toes and the balls of your feet. So even though we bend our knees, still feel weight in your heels. Feel it evenly distributed between heel, ball, toe. Good. Next, we move up to our hips, and we want to make sure we have a neutral pelvis. Very often, I'm going to turn sideways, you stay the way you are. Very often when people stand, they kick out their pelvis in a posterior tilt. We want to make sure our pelvis is straight up and down. So we want to engage a little bit in our abdominal muscles, not too much, because then we start to have that pelvic anterior tilt and a bit of a pelvic thrust. That's too much. So we want to find somewhere halfway. Because while we're engaging, we also want to be relaxing. So we don't want to be flexing our stomach muscles like we're about to take a punch. No, it's too tight. Bend our knees, neutral pelvis. So almost as though we feel like if our hips were to fall straight down, like you had a little string dropping straight from the side of your hips, it would be right around your heel. And if you sort of feel here, you can sort of maybe feel the tilt of your pelvis, making it nice and straight. Now, as we've done that, you've probably felt your upper body moving back and forth, maybe adjusting, maybe your chest is opening, closing. Because as we adjust our hips, we adjust our spine. We want to make sure our spine is a nice, neutral, straight spine. We spend a lot of time at our computers, at our cars, driving chest forward. So we want to make sure we lift up straight as best we can. And that brings us to our shoulders, the problem area where most of us carry most of our strain and stress these days. Being in this position or this position has left us all kind of hunching shoulders, closed. And this affects everything. This affects your mentality, it affects your breathing. It stresses you out. So we're going to take a second and we're going to just remind our shoulders about the range of motion they're supposed to go. So in our position, keeping our nice feet, knees, hips, posture, let's just do some backwards shoulder rotations. And just relaxed, but reminding them where they're supposed to go. If you have a little bit of clunkiness, a little bit of crunchiness, that's okay. Let's go the other direction, forward, circle forward, clunk, clunk, crunch, crunch. No problem. And now this is my favorite one, just forward and then back and try and pinch your shoulder blades forward, back. And last one, I want you to shrug your shoulders up to your ears as if you were trying to plug your ears with your shoulders. Take a deep breath in, and out. And as you let it go, let those shoulders just drop. Let them fall away. Let them hang. Let them hang there next to your arms hang next to your thighs, as if you were holding these gigantic weights. They're not straining you. You're a strong person. You can hold these weights, but they're letting those shoulders come down. And when they've come down, make sure you're also going to give them a little bit of a push back, a little bit, maybe go a little farther than necessary, and then come back to something a little bit more natural. When our hands hang down beside us, they should face sideways. But very often you'll see people who are stressed out, who are hunchy, hands hang down, and your knuckles face forward. It's a nice little indicator. Oh, I need to just remember, shoulders back, bring it down, hands are neutral. So let's go through that. Check feet, knees, hips, shoulders, spine, and finally neck. We want to make sure we never walk first thing into a room with your neck forward. You always want to walk chest up forward, nice posture. Look like you're proud of your Qi Gong practice. And you should be proud you've taken a moment today to take care of your mental health and your physical health. Good for you. Be proud of that. So make sure your neck is straight, chin is elevated ever so slightly, not so much nose in the air, but just up a little bit, as if you were trying to look 1,000 meters into the distance. Eyes should be relaxed, face relaxed, and everything just nice and relaxed in this position. Let's take a few breaths here, just getting used to it, and you might feel adjustments. Let them happen. Very good, very good. So now we know how to stand. And as we stand here and breathe, well, let's talk about how to breathe. Now you might say, obviously, you know how to breathe. Everyone knows how to breathe. But we all, especially in modern life, tend to breathe very shallowly. If you've ever done any yoga practice or any most athletic exercise or meditative practice, you know already chest breathing, where you're heaving chest up and down. Great for getting oxygen into your bloodstream very quickly. Bad for relaxing. And it's actually also not as full and effective a breath. So when we breathe in our Qi Gong meditation type practices, we talk about breathing into our belly breathing. Chinese, we call this area your dantian. So when I say breathe down into your dantian, I'm talking about this. And what it means is when we breathe in, we try and breathe so much that our stomach expands. I'll come close to the camera. Our stomach gets out and in. That way I know I'm using my diaphragm to breathe, pull air in, and push it back out. Using all of my lungs. I'm using the muscle that's meant to help me breathe, because that's what your diaphragm's supposed to do, right? Rather than relying on my chest to pump it out, rely on my diaphragm to nice and calmly breathe. And while we're doing that in our Qigong practice, we're going to breathe in and out with our nose, nice and slow, in, out. You can put your hands on your stomach if it helps, or you can just let them hang beside you. In, out, in, out, in, out. And lastly, about our breath is our tongue. And in Qigong practice, we talk about Qi flow, and the Qi flows through your body, and your tongue is the last part of that connection. So we want to touch the tongue. So this is a side perspective. Touch the tongue to the roof of your mouth. If these are your teeth, don't want to be touching your teeth. You just want to bring it up and rest it lightly against the roof of your mouth. It feels a little foreign at first, but after a little bit, honestly, it becomes so comfortable. I sit there like that 90% of my day, not even knowing it, just because my tongue likes to fill that space now. So if your tongue touching the top, you're breathing air all the way down into your dantian. You have a nice relaxed body, we have a nice relaxed state of mind. We can breathe in, out, in, out. And if as you breathe out, your shoulders dip a little bit more, great, out. If you think, oh, my knees have straightened out, and bend them down again, great, in, out. Feel free to check in, check out, breathe deep, breathe slow. Your breath might be faster or slower than mine. Your motions later might be faster or slower than mine. That's okay. We're different people. Our bodies work and move at different rates. In Qi Gong, you may at some point, because we do repetitive motions like this, breathe in, breathe out, you probably don't have to look at your instructor or look at anybody else's screen because you've figured out the motion. Feel free to close your eyes and just follow your breath in, out. You can just follow my voice. It will take you through if we're changing our focus, if we're changing our exercise. Do what comes naturally. Do what makes you feel the most relaxed. Very good. And I'll ask you to open your eyes if they're closed. So now I'll teach us how to move. And when we move in Qigong, hopefully you already feel relaxed. And we want to move in such a manner that maintains that feeling of relaxation. So the first motion we did today, we were closed and we opened and we moved across. You'll notice when I moved my hips, they moved like a center column. My hips, chest, neck, all stay together. Okay? Later, at the end of class when we close, same deal. You move your hips first, center column stays straight, move your foot, standing. In case you're unaware, when we're walking, we're actually falling and catching ourselves every step. But when we move in our relaxed Qigong state, we don't want to use all those muscles to catch ourselves and propel ourselves. So we want to use our energy to change our weight in a controlled manner. So let's try that a little bit. And while we're doing it, we're going to do it with our breath. So one breath is one motion across. So everyone put their weight on the right side. Relax shoulders, relax those knees. Breathe in, move across. In and out. In and out. So as you're doing this, really envision that your hips are what's leading this parade. So if you were suddenly going to come into contact with a door, you'd be giving it a nice solid Canadian hip check. In and out. In and out. And return back to center. So that's side to side motion. Let's talk about turning motion. So we're also going to do some exercises where we turn to the side. And notice if you're looking quickly at me, that center pillar, my spine, neck, top of my head, doesn't move, right? I'm not leading with my nose where I'm going. No, I'm keeping my weight on my heels. My knees are bent. And I'm just moving that center column back and forth, side to side. Let's all try this with our breaths. So breathe in, go to one side in, out, back to center. Don't forget to relax those shoulders. You don't need them. In, other side, out, back to center. In, and out, back to center. And imagine as though there was a string tied to the crown of your head and it's pulling you up by the top of your head. They call this in Chinese the heavenly rope, pulling you to the sky. Not so much your legs straighten out, but it keeps you straight. And that heavenly rope is what you rotate on in, out. In, and if that rope is pulling your head, well then that shows you don't need your shoulders. Out. In, out. Last one. In, out. Okay, so that's how we turn. And next, let's talk about how we move our arms. If you have ever done Tai Chi before, maybe you've seen Tai Chi, people always say it looks like people moving through water, and that's exactly right. So when we move our arms, we want to imagine they are moving and flowing through a pool. We're on vacation, maybe we're in the ocean, we're just neck deep, moving our arms back and forth. And it's almost as though the current is moving our arms up to about our shoulder height and then gently letting it go. Your wrists are loose, so they hang down. The friction pulls them down from the water. We come back down, they float back up as there's nothing there anymore. We time it with our breathing in and out. In and out. Give yourself a check, knees, feet, hips, eyes in. Relax out. In, out. And making sure when we're using our shoulders, we're not using our traps to raise up our arm. We're just letting our arm raise from the wrist, drawing away from us the current, bringing it up, current letting it go. You don't need your shoulder muscles to lift your shoulders to your ears to lift your arm up. That's the computer keyboard talking. Last one in and out. And take a second here. Do a mental checklist. Feel your toes, feel your heels. A little bit of a move around can help that. Maybe a rock side to side. Feel the water in your knees. Knees are bent. Feel your pelvis neutral. Feel your spine. Feel your shoulders. Maybe give them an adjustment. Good posture. Good breath. Take a few breaths here. Bring the air all the way down to your dantian and out. Feel your stomach expand in and out. In and out. Good. Open your eyes if they're closed. We're going to go into our first compound movement. So we're going to start our hands in front of our belly, not quite touching, just hanging outside, beneath your belly button, as if you were holding the area I was calling your dantian, as if you were building up a whole bunch of energy down there. That's what we think about in Qi Gong. We're building up a ball of energy. It's very relaxed, just hands in front, very close. And now as we breathe in, we're going to imagine as though we're actually holding a balloon, and that balloon suddenly starts to expand as we breathe in. We expand our arms and out. Balloon deflates. Come back down. In. And out. In. And out. In. Out. Now as we continue through this motion, I'm just going to talk through a few points. In. Imagine the pressure of the balloon is coming from your forearms, and that's what's lifting your arms out. Now your forearms sink back down into position. In. So it's equal pressure, hand, forearm, bicep, chest, feeling that balloon, and out. And it's flowing. In. Out. And you should listen to your balloon. Maybe your balloon's a little bit smaller. In. Maybe it's a whole lot bigger. Don't let it get too big. Don't let it bigger than your hands being your shoulder height, but you listen to you. You want to make sure that you're breathing and lifting your arms and they're floating up as if on their own. Out. Doing as if by doing nothing. In. That's how we stay relaxed. Out. In. Out. Now you may have already naturally noticed it happening, but if your knees are bent when you're in and your breath is out, you take your breath in, your legs are going to want to extend a little bit. Go with it. And out, and let them come back down to bend as you let your air and you let your balloon out. In. Out. If your knees are one too many things to think about, don't worry about it. Go back to arms and breathing. In. Out. Qi Gong is a practice. It's one of the things, the more you do, the more you can do. In. The more you learn to do, the more you learn you do nothing to do it. Out. Good, and let's just relax, bring it back to center. Take a few breaths here. Find your feet, find your knees, find your posture. Okay, next motion we're going to do, start in that neutral position. We're going to bring our hands and interlace our fingers together in front of our dantian belly button and let our hands start to float up in front of us. As our interlaced hands pass our view, they flip up, so palm faces out to the sky. I'm going to move back so you can make sure you see my hands. And then palms float all the way to the ceiling. And then when we release our breath, hands float down in a nice big circle. Back to the bottom, breathe in, interlace. In all the way up and out. Interlace it in. Let those elbows and forearm lead the motion. As you go up, look up as if looking through your eyebrows, out. I say eyebrows because you don't want to strain your neck trying to look up straight to the ceiling with your nose. In, lifting, relax that neck as if you were just so passingly interested in where your hands are going. You want to see, but you know you don't have to look at them. You know they're not going anywhere. In. And out. In. And out. In. And out. And when you're done that rotation, come back to center. Bring your hands up in front of your sternum. And we'll sit here in this position for a second. I'm going to come close to the camera so everyone can see. So again, you want to be relaxed. Check in with your feet. Check in with your knees, hips Most importantly, your shoulders. Take some night breaths. In, out, in, out. Now give yourself a little bit of motion here as you're breathing in, out, and you might start to feel a little bit of sensation, kind of reminiscent of magnets pushing too close and pulling away from each other. Maybe to remind you of when your arm gets too close to a staticky balloon and the hairs stick up. That's good. That sensation is your energy invigorated moving through your body. Or maybe you're just bringing awareness to what's always been there. You just never noticed before. Slow that down a little bit, and now we're going to expand from here with our breaths in and out. In and out. As if that ball of energy now that you've started building is expanding in like that balloon before, in and out. In and out. In and out. In and out. In, out. In, and then we're going to stop at our full inhale. We're going to stop there, in. And now we're going to reverse. So we're going to breathe out and not move out.
No, that's not at all. Not at all. And there is mayonnaise in the fridge, but there's also.
And then we're going to breathe in as the ball gets smaller, in.
Thank you so much, Karen. Okay. Thank you
And
too.
out, the ball gets bigger. Kelly S., if you're listening, your microphone's on.
Okay, in. Picture of the puzzle when I thought that was probably for a reason. Okay, good.
And out. So this is called reverse breathing.
Okay, bye.
In and out. Kelly S., if you're off the phone, your mic is on.
Oh, shoot.
It's okay.
Sorry, everybody.
No problem.
I thought I was on mute.
It's okay.
I must have done it the wrong way. Okay, I'll try now.
You got it. In, out. In, out. And then in, arms going to fall back down to our sides. And let's check in. You might start to feel some sensation now in your hands as they hang beside you. As long as your shoulders are relaxed, your knees are relaxed. Might feel like, maybe like pins and needles, but it's not quite the same as when you fall asleep on your arm. This is more like a warming sensation. Warm pins, needles, subtler, a lot more enjoyable. That sensation is good. Breathe into it and out. And if you don't, you feel nothing, you're like, wow, Teacher James, you're kind of crazy. That's okay too. These things don't happen overnight, but given time, I promise you, if you dedicate some time to a practice like Qi Gong, you'll begin to notice and feel changes. It's a fun journey if you do. Got a few more minutes, so we're going to do 2 more movements in combination. Typically, all those motions we've just done is more like a warm-up, warming up our body, internal energies. When you get good at Qi Gong, I still call it an exercise because even right now I'm very warm. My shirt's getting a little moist with perspiration because my internal furnace is churning. Now that we've warmed up, we would go into a set of movements. If you've ever done martial arts, you call them forms. This form, Badwajin 8, silk brocades. It's one of the most famous things in Qigong, practiced by millions of people for the last 1600 years, and there are hundreds of versions of it. So if you've done Qigong before, the motions are a little different, that's okay. You do me, your choice. For the rest of us, do our best. First motion, lifting the sky. Check in, bending knees, shoulders relaxed. Breath in, raise your hands to shoulder height, as if you were picking up some water in. Let it out, face hands away from you. And then from this motion, we're going to breathe in and lift our palms lightly all the way to the sky, looking up through our eyebrows just as before, feeling that little bit of stretch, and then breathing out all the way down, just down to our shoulders and back in. And out. Checking time. And in. And out. And in. And out. And in. Out. In. Out. As you get more comfortable and more relaxed, you might find your breath slows a little bit in. Very good. Out. Qigong allows us to really slow down our breath, our heart rate. In. Out. And we all know that that's good for our mental health. And relax hands back down into the center. Sorry, neutral. Breath. Now that we've lifted the sky, we're going to pick up our balloon, our ball of energy. And as we're holding the barrel, nice relaxed arms. Notice my elbows are just ever so slightly, maybe a fist distance away from my ribs. Nice and relaxed. My shoulders are still back. Hands are in front of my belly button, essentially, and I'm just going to rotate my shoulders and my upper body to one direction as we breathe in and breathe out. Back to center. Breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in. You might turn all the way 90 degrees, you might not, and out. That's okay. Go to where you start to feel tension and then back off a little bit. In, out. You cannot be relaxed if you're fighting tension. The whole point is to remove the tension. In, out, in, out. Make sure you keep your knees bent here as to not put any unwanted torsion on them, twisting. Out. Check your shoulders, make sure they're relaxed. In, lift without lifting them into position, your hands. Out. In, out, in, out. And when you get back to the center, maybe open your eyes if they're closed. Relax your hands back down. 3 nice, calming, cleansing breaths, which each breath out, imagine your shoulders dripping off a little bit, in and out. Imagine you're coming home after a hard day and you know the work's done and it's time to relax, in. Your spouse made dinner, out. They cleaned up already too. There's nothing left to do, in and out. It's just time for you to be at peace. Good. And we'll close our practice from there. Eyes open. As we said before, shift body weight to the right. Lift up your left leg, bring them together. Center your body and come out. Good job. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. If you're feeling sensation, feeling in your hands and your arms, it's good. Sometimes at the end of my workout, I like to rub my hands just very light, not touching, over my arms, and I can sort of feel the hairs in my arms. I know, yeah, there's some sensation, some sensitivity. No, I'm in a good place, because you can't feel these things if you're not relaxed. But I hope you're all feeling a little bit more relaxed than we started. I really enjoy personally Qi Gong workout right before lunch, late in the morning typically, just because I find it's a great way to sort of cap off the mid of your day, prepare you for a busy afternoon. So I hope you all have enjoyed it. I don't know how athletics makes decisions going forward, but if there's a Qigong class in the future, I hope you guys will join us there. And if you have any questions, I'll stay on the line for a few minutes if you want to answer. Or most of you know me, or you can find me in the Sheridan directory, James Rowan. Feel free to reach out. Thank you again, everyone, for the support. All the people I know, all the people I don't know. Even some alumni came out today, and that's really nice to see you guys again. So thank you, everybody. Thanks, Athletics, for the opportunity, and enjoy the rest of your day.